About 16,000 students and ministry leaders will attend this year's Urbana 15, one of the world's largest missions conferences. Everyone will meet in St. Louis, Missouri for 5 days at the end of this month to focus on where God is working in the world and where they might fit in. Urbana takes place every 3 years, and for this year's conference, they're using a new category, Urbana's first ever Hackathon. Lori Johnson spoke with Tom Lynn, who's director of this year's event.
Your Hack 4 Missions is the first hackathon at Urbana. How will it work and why are you hosting this?
We're hosting it for a couple reasons. One is that as we look at this generation of students, we're noticing a shift in the things they're studying, the vocations that are going to go into. Many of them are going into tech-related fields, and they're asking the question, can technology and my involvement in technology, computer science, engineering, coding, can that be used for missions? And we want to say emphatically yes. God can use you. God can use your coding skills, your project management, your user interface design skills. And so at Urbana, we're going to gather a few hundred students for 5 days, and they're going to work at tech solutions to some of our world's biggest problems. We're going to have 12 challenges set for them. Many of our partner organizations are going to issue the challenge, and they're going to give 5 days to work on solutions. So, for example, one of the things they're going to work on is a North African business startup app. One of the needs that we've identified is to help those in North Africa with their own small business startups. And so students are going to be asked to develop an app that walks them through the process of starting a small business.
We know that Urbana began way back in 1946 to encourage students to consider missions. What are some of the biggest needs in the world today?
Well, three of the biggest needs that we've identified, I think one is somehow addressing or engaging with the persecuted church. The church around the world is under attack. There are church burnings in countries from Indonesia to Niger to many places throughout the Middle East. We've seen attacks in Kenya at the university, Garissa University, Kenya. The Egyptian Coptic Christians killed this year. So the church is being persecuted probably more than ever before in recent history. And so we want to address that and see how can we stand alongside the persecuted church. I think a second big issue is engaging Islam and engaging the unreached in the world, many of whom come from Muslim backgrounds. And so at Urbana, we're going to look at, how can we encourage and train this generation of students to learn to dialogue with their Muslim friends, develop relationship, and ultimately share the gospel with their Muslim neighbors. And so engaging Islam is critically important in the world today. I think a third one that comes to mind is the fragile states we have in the world, areas, countries that are unstable, extremely poor, often filled with refugees or refugees who are leaving the country. And so we've seen that in the news recently with the refugee crisis. And I think serving in these fragile states or serving these fragile states are critical needs today.
Well, do you think that this student generation, this millennial generation, is well enough equipped to answer the call of missions right now?
That's a great question. I get asked that often. And I say yes. I think they're very well equipped and well positioned. I'm extremely excited about this generation. For one thing, they're probably the most globally engaged generation we've ever seen. They've grown up seeing themselves as global citizens. They've often travel to various countries before they even get to university. They're cross-culturally savvy. They've grown up in a very diverse environment in North America. Even the participants we have at Urbana are about 50% of our audience are ethnic minorities, about 50% are white, and so they're just well prepared cross-culturally.
Billy Graham has often shared that more than half of the missionaries in the world can trace their calling to an Urbana conference. Is that still true today?
Yes, it's a great history I think we steward. I do think it's still absolutely pivotal. I think God has used Urbana to help students discern God's will for their lives, and we believe that at this Urbana, it will be no different. 16,000 students we're expecting to register. Many are registering each day now up until December 27th when our conference starts. So we're excited about what God will continue to do through this Urbana.
And quickly, where can people register?
At urbana.org. Urbana.org, they can register.
Well, we wish you all the very best with the conference at the end of this month. Tom Lynn with Urbana 15, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Lori.
You can learn more about Urbana 15 by logging on to cbnnews.com.